Welcome, welcome, welcome to all my good people. Thank you so much for being here. And I want to welcome you to another amazing episode of Apostolic Insight. Tonight, I am super excited to jump into this conversation with you and to get ready to start having this conversation that I think is going to be an absolute game changer. I believe it's going to be a blessing. I believe it's going to be helpful. I believe it's something that is going to absolutely make a difference in helping you understand exactly who you are, where you are, and how to navigate from where you are in this moment. All right. So I want you to do me a favor. All of you already know what to do. I want you to jump in the chat and I want you to let me know who you are and let me know where you are watching from. We've got a dynamic guest coming up for you tonight, and I want you to get everything that she is getting ready to share. It is going to be an absolute blessing. You are going to be glad that you are here tonight. So I want you to go ahead and I want you to let me know who you are. Let me know where you're watching from. Drop the name of your church, your city, your state in the chat. Drop it in so that I can see where you are, man. And maybe you can connect with some people in the chat who are in the same place and space as you. And we are looking forward to it tonight because tonight is going to be a God moment. All right. I believe in that. Y'all know me by now. Y'all know how I am. I am one of those people who believe that when God gets ready to do a thing, he gets ready to do a thing. And tonight he's getting ready to do a thing as we get ready to bring a very special guest to the stage. All right. I'm going to keep her backstage for just a moment before I bring her out because once I bring her on, I am going to unleash the woman of God to go forth and to do what she is called to do. All right. So if you're on, jump in the chat. Let me know who you are. Let me know where you're watching from. Let me know all the things, man. Go ahead and drop it out there and let's get ready to plug in. For those of you who have been on this journey with us, y'all have been walking with us. One of the things that you know and that you have seen is that we have hit this kind of rhythm where one of the things that we've been doing is that we've been on this journey where we have been systematically walking through what it looks like and what it feels like and what it means to be in the trenches of ministry today, right? We have walked through it. We've seen it. We know how it is. We know how it goes. And we have been really digging in and doing the work to really help leaders like yourself see exactly what it is like and what it feels like to navigate through these different seasons of ministry, letting you know that you're not alone, that you are not by yourself, that it is not just you, but that instead you are surrounded by an army of people who get it, who get you, who are with you, who are for you. We talked about what it is to transition a church. We talked about launching out into a fresh vision. We talked about all these different things. And tonight we're going to continue in that. All right. Before we get ready to go forward, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to grab this link and I need you to send it to three groups of people. I need you to send it to your team. You want to get your team on board. Tonight, you're going to hear from a leader who's going to share how having the right support and the right help, having just two leaders around her who stepped up to the plate, changed everything. She's going to talk about that, and you want your team to hear it. So share this with your team. Number two, I want you to share this with other pastors you know, right? Church is in the midst of a crisis. As many as 10,000 churches could close their doors this year alone. And you can be a part of helping some pastor be encouraged by letting them know that they don't need 10, 15, 30 new people. They just need a handful of people to come around and support. It could change their life. I want you to share it with them. And then thirdly, I want you to share it with anybody else you know that needs to hear it. Right. So share it with your team, share it with any other pastors, share it from your social media platforms. Anybody that you know needs to hear it. And once you share it, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to come back to the chat and I want you to say share. I want you to say share. I want you to drop shared in the chat. Let me know that you did it. Let me know that you put it out there, that you let them know, and that you are ready to jump in. All right. I don't want to stretch this thing out. All right. I want to jump straight into it, right? Because if you've been following us, we have made a significant shift. For the past several months, we have really, and I'm grateful to God that we've built this community. We built this audience around Apostolic Insight on Tuesday nights. And we've really been doing it and really kind of getting it going by constantly alerting people, hey, we're getting ready to go live. Hey, we're getting ready to do this. Hey, we're getting ready to do that. And about 2 weeks ago, I made this decision. I said, you know what? I want to do this differently. I was talking to my wife, and she said to me, she said, "Man, on those Tuesday nights, you're really pouring." She says, and she said something to the effect of, that's an intimate audience that you're bringing in, because some of the stuff you're sharing is real intimate stuff, is real game changing stuff. And I said, all right, well, here's what I'm going to do from here on out, for the at least for the next season, is I'm just going to do it. And the people who are committed enough to it to set it in their calendars, the people who are committed enough who go and watch it later, because we do have a group of people who do this. Say my Bible study is on Tuesday, I go and watch on Wednesday mornings or whatever it is. I said, I'm just gonna let them do it, right? I'm just gonna let them go. And y'all know me, like I'll send an email and a text every day. Like I don't care, I don't mind. But for this season, God is calling us to something a little bit differently. And I think that different thing is the right people who are making a decision to be in the right room. And I thank you for being one of those right people. All right. So listen, I want to get ready to go ahead and bring my guest up. Right. I met this woman of God, I think about a year ago now. And when we met, we had a phone call. She was referred to us by another pastor who we had worked with, and she was kind of in this season of flux, trying to figure out a couple of things. And I won't spoil it. I'll let her talk about that. But she said, "Look, such and such told me to call you, so I'm calling you because I'm trying to da 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 da." And we got on a call, and we sat there and talked. And she said, "I just want to know if you can help me." And I said, "Yeah, I believe we can help you." I said, "Let's give it a shot and let's go." And she said something to the effect of, "All right, I told the Lord I'm gonna give it a year. If this don't go through, then it is what it is." And here it is now, man. She is, every time I see her come on one of our coaching calls, she's one of my favorite people to see, because the passion, the joy, and the energy that she brings, the fire that she brings to the table whenever she shows up is just absolutely unmatched. And she's got that kind of fire that I want to get on me, and I want to get on other people as well. And tonight I'm gonna put her in your way so she can put some of that fire on you. All right. So y'all help me welcome Pastor Paula Little. How you doing, Pastor Paula?
I'm doing well, sir. How are you?
Man, I am doing awesome. Thank you so much for being here tonight, and for just being willing to come in and just share your wisdom, share your story, share what God has been doing in you, through you, with us. I'm super, super excited to have you here. So here's what I want to do before we go any further. I just want to give you an opportunity to just introduce yourself to the people, let them know a little bit about who you are and your journey and what God has been doing in you and through you over these last several months and weeks.
Wow, I feel honored and special. Wow. Well, I am Pastor Paula. I am now the senior lead pastor of Kingdom Authority Ministries. We are located in Childersburg, Alabama. Just this past Sunday, we celebrated 17 years of ministry.
17 years.
Wow, yeah, 17 years of ministry. My husband and I started this ministry. I actually was cleaning up some documents we have a business, we have a daycare as well. And so I was going through some documents and I found our articles of incorporation, and they were dated for May the 8th of 2009.
Wow.
Man, that was real sentimental for me because that was also the time that my husband transitioned.
Mm,
Our ministry had been in existence 17 years, and he transitioned in May of 2022, 2022, 2024. I'm kind of foggy on dates right now because today is the day, so I kind of been a little bit emotional. But he transitioned, and so that means I inherited a ministry. Once I inherited that ministry, all the people that he had underneath his leadership, they all walked away,
mm,
except for one, two, three, four. That many I can count them on one hand.
wow. Okay.
I was left with a very small amount of people. That was really hard for me because I'd seen how hard he'd worked to grow ministry. Ministry had really
Mm,
grown. He had done a lot of things to kind of make ministry grow. So I inherited it, but before taking on leader senior role, I asked the congregation that remained, "Do you want someone else? We can get another. I'm willing to let you guys find somebody. We do a search, whatever is necessary. I'm willing to step back and do."
mm,
And they, with a strong no, sounding, said, "No, we already lost our senior pastor. We don't want to know somebody else new right now. We know you." And I said, "Okay, well, we'll give it a try." And We did. And so it was a struggle. It was a really hard struggle that I'm now having to do the role of not only senior pastor, but director of our daycare. I'm still working a full-time job. I'm trying to do ministry, doing Wednesday night Bible studies, and I was just overwhelmed. It was
My good.
more than that. Now I'm a PK, so I do know about
Wait
hard
a
work.
minute.
My dad, I'm a PK, so I do know about hard work. I remember riding the circuit, as my dad would call it.
Mm,
Back in the days, he was a bishop, so that meant he would go from church to church to church to church. My mom, my family, and I, we would travel the road with him while he was doing ministry. So I know about hard work,
mm.
but for some reason, hard work wasn't working for me no
It
more.
was different. It's something
It was definitely
So
different.
let me say this, because you're already tapping into some really, really good stuff. And I'm already looking at some of the people who are responding to what you're saying, and they're already being blessed by what you're saying. And I want to go back to something. You talked about, having that point when your husband transitions. And first of all, thank you for being willing to be here because I had no idea this was the day. Right. And here you are, telling the story and all these kind of things. So thank you for being willing to share this day with us and to just come and encourage us and encourage some other people who are here on a day that's this important. And you were talking about just going, walking through that journey. And I want to go back to something you said because and it's so unique how sometimes the best heroes are reluctant heroes, right? The best heroes aren't the one who are like, "Ooh, give me the superpower. Ooh, give me this. Ooh, give me that." They're the ones who are like, "Listen, I'll get out the way. Y'all can go find somebody else, get somebody else to do it." And yet, it seems like those are the ones that God picks. And you were a reluctant hero, and really, you had to make a decision and wrestle through a reality that 10,000 churches are probably wrestling through, which is, do I keep on doing this or do I walk away? And so here's where I want to kind of kick off this conversation. I want to start, especially with what you just shared about this day and it being a day of reflection. I just want to reflect for a moment on Kingdom Authority and just some of the great things that God did under you and your husband's leadership and what God was doing as you guys planted and built the church. So just talk to us a little bit about just some of the things that you remember and that you enjoyed from that season when God had you guys walking together in that.
Wow. I can remember he was always a community oriented person. He loved community work. He loved outreach. So I can remember one time we desired to feed our community. It was just the two of us. We had no help at the time when we started. I can remember us walking. We would prayer walk every morning between 3 o'clock and
Mm,
6 o'clock every morning. We was going to take that prayer walk. That was, and that to today, that's still a part of my life is at 3 a.m. prayer time. But I can remember us praying, and somebody came along and said, "Hey, there's a organization that's giving away cabbage and potatoes. Do y'all want some?" Man, he loaded up that truck so fast. There we were, just he and I. He was driving, and I was on the back with the Piggly Wiggly bags, potatoes, cabbage, and at that time we didn't know. We was just glad to serve. We was just glad to serve. So we've seen God do some amazing things under His leadership.
mm,
We were able to start a summer feeding program under His leadership for our ministry. A lot of the things that we did them hand in hand with our daycare, not just
mm.
ministry alone. So I'm understanding too that a lot of what we did for our community, but we did it alongside of our church with our daycare. We have partnership there.
Man, that is so beautiful. I love that because most of us who are called to ministry, we were called just like you all out of a pure place, right?
Mhm.
There's this pure place of like, listen, I don't care how many people come. I don't care how many people participate. I don't care if it's just us, man. I just want to serve. I just want to be here. And, one of the things that I feel like is a part of our call, because we see this so often, is that the challenge comes when you have this pure heart and you have this pure desire to do it, but you don't know necessarily how to wrap that into the structures that helps you actually build something, right? Because
Right.
I remember the same thing, man. I had that heart. We had a same thing. We had a Baptist association, and they would go to Walmart and the grocery stores and they would get all the leftover food from this city 30 minutes away. They would bring it down and they would just rotate through the churches. This week you get the Tuesday shipment, this week you get the Thursday shipment, and they would just rotate. And they would bring us all the stuff that Walmart was taking out off the shelf. Fresh, vegetables that were getting ready, to expire, all their old pastries and all the stuff they were taking off the shelves that was like 2 weeks from expiring. And we would get all that stuff, man, and we would line cars up and the cars would line up and come and get that stuff. And then I remember one day, and I sat there and I looked and I said, "Are we building something?"
Mm.
Because I was sitting there and man, people were coming, they were getting that stuff. And I went and I passed by the food distribution the next week when another church was doing it. It was the same people.
Same.
And one day I was talking to the pastor, and they was like, "Man, the folks just really rotating between all of us." So that's just, which I get, because people are gonna get what they get. But I sat there and I was like, "Man, how do we actually build something around this that helps us go?" And I know for me, I don't know what it was like for you guys, but for me, that was one of the places where I first started to see just that purity of I just want to serve leak away. Because I
Mhm.
did just want to serve, but I also wanted to build something, right? I also wanted to see things go forward.
I can say that is true for us, especially after my husband transitioned, because I knew the work that he had put in.
Mm,
And so now that he's put in the time, he's put in the work, and now that I'm senior pastor, I'm like, okay, I want to leave a legacy. I want to do something different than what we did. And so as I start to become senior pastor, I get frustrated because I don't know what to do. I mean, I'm doing the free giveaways, and you're right, they're coming. They're coming to get all the
you get
free
the free
stuff.
stuff now.
They're coming to get it. And what I didn't understand and didn't know, because I had watched the movie The Field of Dreams for so long,
Oh,
build it
they will
and they will come.
come.
That was my motto, build it. Oh, they would come. But what I was missing is that I was giving out more than I was getting in.
Mhm.
And my husband and I, because we had been through some damaging relationships in our ministry, our concept was if you and I together don't do it, it won't get done.
Won't get done.
So we had a little bit of trust issues going on, and then we had a whole lot of stuff going on.
Oh my
So that now by the time I'm senior pastor, I still got that mindset and that mentality. I just do it by myself.
mm,
I'm gonna just do it by myself. I mean, I'm gonna just do it by
gotta get
myself.
it done by any means.
I Because we gotta get it done. I'm gonna be the biggest tither. I'm gonna be the biggest giver. I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do this. And I was watching his legacy slowly fall away because I, like you, asked that question: what am I building? What am I doing? What am is what I'm doing matter? Is it making a difference? Is it really making an impact? And so finally, I'm to the point now. I'm about 2.5 to 3 years in, and I'm ready to call it out. That's when I said, Lord, you got 1 year. You got one.
Right. So
I ain't gonna even give you.
glad you mentioned that because
I ain't gonna even give you 1 year.
to that point, like what made you? What was it? What was it like to come to that point, and what were you thinking about? Because, and I'm saying this because I know the number of pastors who we encounter who are watching right now, who are in that exact same space where they've come to the point. Like when you come to the point where you give God an ultimatum, then
Mhm.
like you at a real place.
This is it.
What kind of brought you to that place to say, look, we gotta make some decisions. Something's gotta shift here.
When I would walk in our sanctuary on Sunday morning, and I would see the same eight, sometimes 12, 15 people.
Mm,
And it's like I'm tired. I'm overwhelmed. I don't know what to do. I mean, I don't know what to do.
mm,
Either you're gonna send me some help because I'm overwhelmed. I'm doing all the sermons. I'm doing announcements. My people, they're asking what you want me to help you do. Well, I can't tell you what to help
no.
me to do because I don't know what to do. I'm
Mm,
figuring it out as I go. I'm trying to find every template online. I'm trying to find this. I even went to the local Baptist Association seeking help. They helped me the best that they knew how, but somehow it something was still missing. I was still lacking something. I just like, God, if you don't send me some help, you got 1 year. That's all I'm giving you.
all I got left.
I've been faithful. I have fasted. I have prayed. You know, as the old saints would say, I'm living right. I'm doing all the right things. But you got 1 year to prove that this is what you want me to do. I'm out.
Mm.
I'm out. I watched my dad. I watched my mom and dad just wear themselves out in ministry. I mean, I watched my sister, who is now taking over my dad's church, who has kind of taken some advice from me to start putting people in place to do something, watching them wear themselves out.
Mm.
Already we don't have a whole lot of can I just be transparent and real?
Absolutely.
When we start churches ourselves, we take care of ourselves. We're not a part of an organization where we have insurance. We don't have no wellness plans where you can go get a spa day. You have to do all that stuff for yourself.
Yeah.
But if you're working a full-time job and doing ministry, it's all I could do sometime to come home was take a bath,
My
go to bed, get ready for Sunday morning.
my good.
I'm planning my sermons, trying to plan them 3 months in it ahead of time so that I make sure I got something to give the people.
Yeah.
But all the time I'm saying, God, I'm tired now. I'm really tired, God. You got 1 year. And that's how I knew I had hit my peak. I was at that point where I had to take a sabbatical. I took off the whole summer.
Mm.
And that was the summer that I met you guys. I said,
My
either you're gonna do something for me now, God, or after this, I'm done. If you don't give me that Gideon experience, I'm gonna put this fleece out here. If it ain't no dew on this boy.
listen, listen. Let me know in the chat if she's speaking your language. I want y'all to let me know, man. How many of y'all have had this experience that Pastor Paula is talking? I know I have, and I'm telling you, I'm one of those people. I'll change in a minute. I'll shift in a minute. It does not take me long to realize something is not working. If something is not working, one of my gifts and my flaws is that I recognize it before everybody else. And so,
Mhm.
where other people will sit in something for a year, 2 years, 3 years, and it's not working, they'll just keep going. I know in 30 days that I'm like, nah, this ain't working. And so for me, I got that come to Jesus within 6 months of planting our church. And 6 months in, I was like, hey, we went from 99 to 60 to 30 to 20. Something ain't going right. Something is messed up. And I had to shift. So let me know in the chat if you can relate to Pastor Paula, you can relate to what she's saying, and you understand what it's like to be in that place where you're saying, like, man, something has got to change, something has got to move. Because so many of you, not only are you carrying something hard, but you're carrying something you never volunteered for. And you're carrying a real weight. You didn't ask for it. And the challenge is you got the anointing for it. You didn't ask for it, but you got the oil for it, and now you're carrying it and trying to figure out how to carry it well, how to navigate it, and it's not always easy. So I thank you for sharing that. So now let's talk about this, Pastor Paula. You just mentioned it. Is that coming out of that sabbatical? Because I remember you was on that sabbatical. You said, "Yeah, I took the summer off. I'm gone." Because I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think you was sitting somewhere on the porch with a cup of lemonade or something, and you was just sitting there, kind of relaxing. And I was like, I
Mhm.
like how this feels. Right, this feels very relaxed, and we having an intense conversation, but your demeanor is very relaxed as we go through it. But I want to talk about that, because we came into a conversation. So talk to me about how, first of all, you found us, and kind of what the process was like from your end as we started to have that conversation. What kind of started to change?
Okay. Like I said, I've been praying and I've been surfing the internet. So I just kind of happened. I don't even know how I just seen this something about. I tried to get a template for Easter. It was coming up to maybe like getting some free information for Easter, but you had to put your email address in. I'm like, oh gosh, here we go. So I put it in there. I got the information and da 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 and did this. And so then I found out that you had something on YouTube. So I started kind of following you on YouTube. Then one of my local pastor friends were following you. I
Mm.
immediately pick up the phone. I was like, hey, is this for real? Is it legitimate? Is this something else that's gonna get my money? That was my thought behind it because I'd watched so many other webinars and they said, well, you send this and you have free access to webinars. That's
Mm.
all you were gonna get, or access to videos. And I kept hearing terminology like pathways and systems. And I'm like, okay, what does all this mean? I'm a
What is
country girl. What is that? But when I started to connect, you broke down systems. You say it's a way of doing things. It's you broke down pathways. You broke things down. It wasn't I was sitting and watching videos for hours and hours and hours and trying to figure this out on my own. But I actually had a real live person. That was what got me. Is that I had a real live person that I could ask the craziest question you could ever imagine.
mm,
Some of the weirdest questions I thought, I'm like, they gonna ask, how you do you know? I don't know. That's why I'm asking. Some of the weirdest kind of questions for a pastor. And I felt here's my thing. I'm over 60.
mm,
So first of all, I felt embarrassed
mm,
that these were things that I should have known, but I didn't know. And the only way that God can help me was is I had to acknowledge that I didn't know what I thought I did know. I've
my
been doing ministry with my husband and with my dad for a long time, but there were things I thought I knew that I really didn't know. That
mm,
when we started having conversations and you started asking me about visions and missions, I'm like, so I'm trying to go back and grab all these papers that my husband had, and so I'm trying to wear his mantle. I'm trying to wear his anointing, but it wasn't fitting for me. It didn't fit for me. And I think
mm,
that was one of the struggles, is why I felt
yeah,
so overwhelmed. I was trying to wear Saul's armor when I'm really David. Just let me
yeah.
get these 3 rocks, 5 stones to sling, and let me do what I do.
You know,
And so once I understood,
conversations we had. I agree.
yes,
I,
yes. And so when we had that conversation, it made so much sense to me. So I called up this friend of mine. She said, I'm telling you, he the real deal.
mm.
He's the real deal. I'm
So,
telling you, you're
shout out
gonna
to
love him.
Pastor Ella. I appreciate you. Thank you for telling the truth and being there. Pastor Ella is one of the most hilarious pastors
Yes, she is.
ever meet in your life. Latoya and I went and spent a day with her in Pale City. This is maybe a couple years ago when we started working with them. And when I say she was hilarious, she was hilarious. So I want to go back to something you said because this is so true. And I think you just freed somebody who's listening and who's watching today. You said, there's a part of me that was embarrassed because there were some things that I should have known that I didn't know. A
Mhm.
couple of years ago, I was working with a pastor who had been leading a church for some 30 odd years. And I was talking to him, and he was talking about the challenges of getting his leaders engaged and on the same page and so on and so on. And I said, okay, do you have a staff meeting? And he was like, no, like they're all volunteers. I said, that doesn't matter. I said, meeting with them once a month, getting them at the table together. That's how you can get them to start, being on the same page. You can start establishing some culture. And I gave them a layout. I was like, here's how I would walk through it. Here's what I would do. And this mentor of mine who had been pastoring for almost as long as I've been alive, literally broke down in tears because he said, I can't believe that I've been pastoring this long. And that simple thought never crossed my mind that, hey, I've got to train my team well. And so I love what you said there, just coming to that place to realize, like, you know what, I need some help. Why do you think, Pastor Paula, so many pastors struggle with that? Why do so many leaders struggle to say, like, you know what, I can't figure this thing on my own. I need somebody to step in and help me with this.
I think for me, because my husband and I first had been doing everything on our own. We were our systems. We were it. We were the ones who handled everything. We did it. And so asking for help, it made me feel as if you didn't know what you were doing. Why are you doing this? Why are you a pastor? You're supposed to know this. You ought to know how to ask for, but we didn't know how to ask for help because we had gone through some issues, church hurt. We had gone through some things. So we really didn't know how to, I didn't know how to ask for help. And I think that was one of the first things I had to do is you gave me something called a 30 days kickstart manual,
And they
a part of
kickstart.
the program. Brother, I don't mean to call you baby, but baby, when I tell you I applied that and that thing freed me
Mm,
because I had to do some stuff for myself. I had to start discipline myself. I had to do my own reflections. I had to do things that I had never thought about as in a pastoral role, but maybe, somewhere else, but not as a pastoral role. So it freed me up to start saying, okay, I got to come on.
mm,
Y'all coming to the meetings with me. Y'all gonna do this. Y'all gonna. I didn't want to sound. I said, but I recommend. I highly suggest that you come to this meeting with me.
mhm. It's voluntarily mandatory.
It's voluntold, is what one person told me one time. She said it's voluntold.
There you go.
So I got them on board and to start helping me, but it was hard for me to ask for help because it made me feel like I didn't know what I was doing, that I was going to lose authority, that I was going to lose my place, that it was going to make me look like a weak leader, that people would take advantage of me. And when I really didn't realize, it was really growing me and it was really developing me and sharpening me. According to Proverbs 27:17, iron sharpens iron. I
Yes.
learned so much from the young folk. I learned a lot from them. I'm
Mm.
clocking it and everything now. I'm learning a lot. I'm learning a lot from
Yeah.
the young folk. I got one lady who
Good.
she's teaching me about AI. She's teaching me on
Yeah.
Wednesday night Zooms when we do our studies. I let her control it. I let her handle it. She, Pastor, did you get your notes? I was like, huh? She said, you're supposed to be getting notes from the Zoom meetings if I'm recording them. I'm like, really? I didn't know all of that.
Wow.
Because I got somebody helping me with it now.
Everybody doing it.
Yeah.
I love something you said, and I want to draw this because I don't know if you know this, but that 21-day kickstart devotion I gave you, prior to you coming into the program, that had been a 21-day devotional that was kind of like a public church-wide thing that we were having people do. Then I remember you came on one of the calls and you said, hey, look, I'm walking through the 21-day devotional, and man, it is helping me. And I kind of sat back and I was like, hold up, like, wait, you're just doing it. She was like, oh yeah, I'm going. You were like, I'm going through it, I'm doing it. And I was like, man, this is amazing. And so when I saw how it impacted you, that was one of the things that led to us shifting and going through the shift that we're doing right now. Because we're getting ready to walk y'all through this shift on Thursday with our coaching call. But that's why with our new playbooks and this new manual that we put together, where we're walking through this, the first two playbooks, the first two things we walk through are all about the leader. We've got a whole session about the leader getting clear on their calling, because just like you said, so many leaders are trying to wear Saul's armor. They're kind of trying to carry a culture they inherited. They're trying to carry a vision that was passed down to them. They're trying to carry a vision that they've seen before, and many don't know how to go back to the drawing board, sit with the Lord, and say, show me vision, show me what you've called me to do, show me where you've called me to go. And so we got a whole playbook where we walk you through a journey of about 14 days of how to get clear and free into who you are, not to who other people want you to be, not
Exactly.
trying to look like your denomination, free on who you are. And then the second playbook is all about really helping you come back around and get ready to do that same thing again, except now let's put rhythms to your identity. Now that we know this is who you are, let's set your life up to give you the freedom to be who you are. Because some of us, even when we discover who we are, we don't have space to actually be it. We don't have the freedom to actually live it out. And I love what you said, just kind of coming to that place where it's like, I had to get me right. And I just love that. And one of the things I remember, Pastor Paul, is I remember you sitting in that call and saying, you said, all right, we're gonna get us a shot. And here's what I want you to talk about for a minute for those other leaders who are listening in. Talk about that moment of decision. Because again, being a small ministry, coming into our program, and the program you all came into doesn't we don't really have it anymore, except for those of you who are already in it. You kind of grandfathered into the old program. But you came in, it was a significant investment, because we were doing all the digital stuff and all the planning. You even came to our retreat, so you got a chance to spend a week with us in the house. We went to Destin last year, like all these different things. So talk to me about the moment of decision, because so many pastors come to a point where they're stuck, and then number one, they don't look for help, and then when they do look for help, it's like, okay, how do we make the decision? Because as pastors, as spiritual people, we real good at saying, well, you know what, I'm just waiting on God. When God lead me and tell me this and tell me that, like, we kind of can use it as a crutch very easily. Talk to us just for a moment about the moment where you really made a decision to say, look, something got to move.
When I made that decision, I made that decision saying, okay, God, you got to do something. You're going to do this. And when I made that decision, you said the key word, it was an investment. Our ministry at the time it's growing. It's growing. Financially, we couldn't afford for me for the ministry to pay for that for me.
Mm.
So I said, God, I'm going to make an investment in myself as a leader because you're going to have to prove to me that this thing is real. So I'm putting my money on you. I'm putting this money out there. I'm taking my my vacation money I'm saving up. I'm taking it and I'm gonna make an investment in the church. You know why I said that? Because that's what we've done so many other times. We
Mm.
paid the light bill, we paid the water bill. I think a
Absolutely.
lot of times we get scared because the investment is larger than what we've initially
Mm.
accustomed to. If you want more, you're gonna have to pay more.
Mm.
That's when it hit for me. You want if they really are who they say they are. I said because I think somewhere you even said, "Oh, we guarantee it. If it don't work, you'll get your money back." I said,
Yeah,
"Okay, I got that in my pocket too, Lord. I'm
absolutely.
holding on to
I'm
all of
gonna
this. I'm holding on to."
I'm
But
gonna
it was
take
one
care of
of the best investments. Not
yeah.
only did it give me when we talk about systems, and can I just say, to me, I understood system, but there again, because I'd not been in church, I didn't understand terms like playbook, that these were actually step by step, tell you what to do, give you what to do, show you what to do, tell you how long to do it. I had never heard of such a thing.
Mm.
I had never heard. I told you, build it and they would come. I'm from the Pentecostal background, but we just jump and shout and wait on the Lord.
Praise your way through. Come
Come
on.
on here. But this time that wasn't working. Why? Because I got a different culture. I got a different generation that I'm to reach. So if I'm to reach them, I need to know how to reach them.
Mm.
I got saved when I was in my early 20s. So all we had to do is wait for somebody to lay hands on you and you call on Jesus 11, 50 million times. And you till they tell you you got it. And then you learn to walk your way out. But now this culture is different. They need more. They got to have more. So my investment to be a part of the program, it was what I invested in myself. I invested that in my ministry. If I really wanted God to prove himself to me, then with my 2 pennies, I had to put it in. I
Mm.
couldn't wait for the church to give me two
You
pennies.
had to be
I
ready.
had to put my own 2 pennies in.
And that is such a challenge for so many leaders, because obviously in the climate we live in, one of the things that we hear most often is what you just said, especially because we've made a conscious decision to put a lot of energy into smaller churches. And most consultants don't work with smaller churches for that very reason, right? Because
Mhm.
you can't be so focused on the money. I mean, it takes money to deliver things, it takes money to build all those kind of things, to have a staff, whatever. But, when we made a conscious decision to focus on smaller churches, one of the things that we would see over and over again is that resources would be a challenge. And in the early years, I was very so conscious of that and so concerned about that. And then here's what I learned after we worked with churches, and I probably picked this up probably after our 20th, 25th church, is that everything comes with a combination of three costs. You've got financial cost. There are some things
Mhm.
you want to do, it's going to cost money to do it. You've got people costs. There are some things you want to do. If you don't have people, you just can't do it. In order to do it, you need
Mhm.
people. It's going to have people costs. But then the third thing is energy costs. If you don't spend money, if you don't build teams, then you got to use all of your personal energy to go out there and get things done. And what I'm discovering is what you just said. So many pastors, you're working full time, 40 hours, not just you, but your spouse. You've got a family. You're managing your health. Then you're trying to also build a church. But if a team is not in place, things are more challenging. And so you're already spending the energy that a normal person spends at work and then trying to do everything yourself on the back end,
Mhm.
and it's just difficult. And so one of the things that we tried to do is that we built a framework to say, hey, we're going to help you get to the point where you don't have to carry all these things yourself, right? And this is a point where I want to let you brag on some folks, because one of the things that I loved and I still love about Kingdom Authority Ministries is that you told me on our first call, you said, look, I got two MITs, I got two ministers in training, and this is what I got. So and so. I said, all right, here's what we're going to do. I said, with them two ministers in training, we're going to turn them up and we're going to get this thing done. And I said, now here's the
Mhm.
thing, Pastor Paula. I said, you got to let them do it. I said, you got to unleash them and you got to let them run. And that means there's going to be some stuff going on. And you may not be in the details. I said, but that's okay because you're gonna have your own thing to focus on. And let me say that you had two people to step up. So I just want you to talk for a moment about when you went through that change, when you started to get your fire back as you were going through that devotional, and you started to get things moving in that direction. I want you to talk a little bit about what that meant, what that did to your team, and how you were able to see it make a difference through them.
What I would do is once I found out that I gave them access to start coming on the calls, I said, look, get on there because you could tell the story better than I could tell the story.
Mm,
Sometimes as a pastor, we don't want to feel like we putting too much burden on people. We want, you get on there, you listen. You started listening. I had two, MIT, Santor and Miles. That's all I had. I just had two of them. Now I had other people in the church, but at the time, these were the two who were interested in assisting more, who wanted to really be the go getter. They still are my go getters. Don't. But I would make sure that they would get on the calls, and I think our very first campaign we did was back to church. That was
mhm.
when we came in. We was doing back to church. Man, they got cards. We went out and we did the blitzes.
They did it.
They put on another event where we did sweet treats in the park. I mean, they worked. They worked. They got all the flyers out. Just these two people. Now we had other people. They solicited help in from other members of the church as well. They weren't the only one, but they were spearhead or they were the lead person. They understood their role of what they needed to be doing.
They
So
did.
they kind of got everybody else on board. They got everybody else on. And I didn't have, and when I tell you, come back to Sunday, we went from that. That was our first one we did with you guys. Is when we did that, their energy, the camaraderie was so high. I mean, man, they were just charging. I mean, it was just boom, 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 boom. And we went from 15 that particular Sunday to about 35 people.
Mhm. I remember
And
that.
we haven't
Yeah.
even been in because I took a sabbatical in from June to August sometime. We came back. I went to the retreat. When we came back from the retreat, we did back to church, and it's been wide open ever since.
Man,
It's been
I
wide
was
open.
so happy for you all when you all got that win. And I was just so impressed with Miles and Santori and your two MITs when they came in because they would come to the meetings and they would engage. Because that's one of the big things we see with the leaders that have success in our programs. And we say this all the time. You know, the old way that we saw of doing things is where the pastor comes in and the pastor gets all the knowledge. So the pastor goes to the conferences, the pastor reads the books, the pastor joins the programs. And that's one of the things that makes us different. Is whenever, a leader comes into our top two coaching programs, they get to bring people with them. And the number of people you can bring, depends on the program, but they can bring people with them. And I say this to leaders all the time. Like, I know what it feels like to go to a conference, get inspired, get fired up, come back with a notebook full of notes, and then step into a room with leaders who are looking at you like you're speaking a different language because they didn't have the experience you had. They
Right.
didn't see what you saw. They didn't hear what you heard. And so, one of the things that I believe makes us different is that, hey, look, you can bring those people with you. You bring that team with you. You plug them in with you. And as a result of your leaders coming in, they got to be there and they asked questions. They got to be there and they could translate exactly what we were saying and what we were doing. And man, they took that thing and they ran with it.
They
And
ran.
I
They
still will tell
did.
people, look, in Silicaga, here's what happened. And those campaigns went, and I'm excited about that because we're getting ready to do back to church again. It's almost here.
Yes, sir.
So we're this week we're going to be rolling out our new playbooks to you all and sharing the new software and giving you all access to that stuff. And we're going to be doing some talk about how to beat the summer slump and how to kind of see an increase and some stability in your finances going into the summer. We're going to talk about that, and then once we come out of that over these next couple of weeks, we're going full steam ahead into our back to church Sunday, because that year, man, most of our churches who participated, they doubled their attendance. And
Wow.
this is one of the things I love: campaigns stack on each other. We did Easter, which we're going to talk about Easter with y'all in a minute because y'all Easter topped Back to Church Sunday, which is why now I'm like, okay, I'm ready to see Back to Church Sunday because you went from 35 to 50. What's next? Right? And what's coming up next? But they stack on top of each other, and we're getting ready for the Back to Church Sunday. And so at the end of this, I'll share any churches out there that want to be a part of just the Back to Church Sunday kit. You want to walk with us for just 90 days. We have made that available, and so we'll show you how to do that. But Pastor Paula, talk to us about Easter. So Easter was crazy for y'all. Like I thought, Back to Church Sunday was amazing. It was great. But then y'all came around with Easter and it went to the next level. So talk to us a little bit about what happened there.
Man, I got this young lady who will say it was bananas. It was bonkers. Easter was bananas. We kind of our area where we are is kind of small, so a lot of people had kind of passed out cards and did a lot of things. One of my MIT Santori came up with said, "Hey," she gathered the team and got everybody together. Say, "Hey, listen, I know you got at least 10 people in your contacts in your phone. I know you got at least 10. So out of 15 people." I need 10, every one of you guys to contact 10 people and invite them to church. 10, that's all I'm asking for. Just 10. So they got together, they came up with a flyer, came up with a presentation that they actually emailed a text to those 10 people. They didn't do them as a group, they did them individually. They did 10 people individually. So they kind of be more personal rather than a big group thing. Sometimes people get tired of hearing that bing, 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 on your personal phone. So they did messages individually to everybody, sent them out to 10 people. Easter Sunday, I'm like, oh my God, I just don't know what to do. It seemed like nobody was showing up, like everything was falling apart. This is me now because I'm usually trying to be in control and da 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 da. But they just said, "We got this."
You was
They
out.
kept telling me, "We got this." So what about this? We got it. What about it? We got it.
You got it.
So we got it. I'm over in the other part of the building, calming myself down, praying and just doing all the spiritual stuff, staying out of the way, right? I walked back into the sanctuary. And I'm telling you, our sanctuary can hold probably comfortably about 55 to 60 people comfortably. I walked back into the sanctuary. People were standing in the lobby because there was not enough seating.
My goodness. My
That's
goodness.
on Easter. I incorporated my parents, some of my parents from my daycare. They brought their babies. I've been passing this message out. Listen, we got Easter Sunday coming on. I got the kids. I did the jelly bean story. I
Mm.
did the jelly bean story during church hour because we didn't have a regular children's church that Sunday, but I was ready for them. I
Oh,
printed me up some jelly bean cards of all different colors, and when I seen them walk in, I just told one of the parents, I put her, "Look, come and volunteer for me." I made sure she gave all the kids a jelly bean. When it came time, they just came up. They didn't have to say anything. The parent read the color of the jelly bean. Green mean this, red mean this. And I mean, parents was laughing and excited and clapping. Kids, I had somebody come in and dance. I mean, I'm sitting there going, "Whoa!"
mm.
And then I preached like I was like it wasn't no tomorrow.
Come on.
I even got a
You gotta
chance to
show
get a
out. You
hoop
got to
on
show
at
out the
the
people
end.
coming there like that.
Yeah, I got a chance to put my hoop in there.
Yes, sir. You better show out. Them folks show up. And man, listen, I'm telling, like, I'm getting emotional even thinking about this, just because, again, when I was reading your story and the story of so many of our other ministries, just about what God did, as they came, it was just so huge. Because I know, some churches, depending on where you are, you see a group of people come together on Easter Sunday. But what I always make reference to when I think about days like that is when Jesus feeds the 5,000 with 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread. Is that, yes, that was a special situation. It was a special, unique moment. But the thing that wasn't special, the thing that wasn't a one time thing about that day was the disciples who had an opportunity to come together and be a part of something bigger than themselves. It was that moment feeding those 5,000 people while they were hungry themselves. It was that moment while they were coming to Jesus, getting the fish and walking from Jesus to the people with those baskets, feeding everybody else while they themselves are hungry from along. It was that moment that I believe prepared them for what they would do later. This is why they didn't need to panic when 3,000 people wanted to get saved, because Jesus had already taught them a system. Have the people sit down in these groups and you go and you serve. They already had a plan. They had seen it before, they'd done it before. And one of the most beautiful things that you always see is what you just said, is that you're sitting there like, well, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if it's going to work. And the team is like, look, we got this. And I think that was so beautiful because you got a chance to eat the fruit of trees that you had been planting long before that day.
Right.
And those were trees that you have been planting for years. Like even when you go back to say you didn't understand systems, I don't think I think you understood systems, but you learned to see them in a different way. Because I remember the first time we met, and I went to go and stalk you on Facebook and look at your stuff, and I'm like, hey, hold on, tell me about this women's ministry thing you're doing. Like you got this gathering that you've been a part of, you got these events you're doing, and they look amazing. They look professional, look great. What is this? She's like, oh, that's something separate. That's something different. And I was like, no, let's do church like that. Like, let's you already know how to do it. And so it was just bringing a new framework to it.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
just giving yourself permission to say that part of me fits in this as well. And as a result, the people around you were able to do it. And I absolutely love that. When you invest in a team and when the team is there, I think everything changes. So here's where I want to go, Pastor Paula, because I know we're coming around and we're coming towards the end of this. But I know you said something on one of our last calls we were on. You were like, "Listen, Easter was amazing. I got to play now." And even then, and that was like the week after Easter, you were already
Mhm.
talking about, "Oh, we're finna do the same thing for Mother's Day. We're
Mother's
running the
Day,
same play."
exactly.
So talk to
It's
us a
in the
little bit
works.
about that.
It's in the works.
Okay.
Mother's Day is already in the works. I got our team together, man, and they are ready. They are fired up. I've had one young lady who's come forward who was not an initial part of our team. She's
Okay.
been voluntold, and I mean, she's got a group of young ladies that she's putting together. They've been dancing almost every third Sunday.
Mm,
So Mother's Day, that's going to be a presentation for Mother's Day. But already we've started putting out information for Mother Days, and we a part of the system that we're in is that we've gotten that wonderful software that lets me text them
mhm,
to tell them I'm praying for you, that
mhm.
I'm loving on you. What can I pray with you about today? That's happening. We're getting that. We're getting that out there, and so that should launch out. Like I don't want to. Well, just from I guess event planning, it should have already been out there. But you do your 30-day, your 2-week lead up, and all that. But man, it's already in the works. They're already getting set, ready. It's ready to go. It's just ready to roll out already. They've
Listen,
been on the ground running.
you're teaching a principle. It's the momentum protection principle. Is that when God gives you the gift of momentum, your task is to keep
It's
it
to
going.
keep it. Hmm.
It's just like again, all of this is Bible, man. It's Old Testament tabernacle. God lit the fire once. It was the priest's job to keep it going, which is why he got mad at Hophni and Phineas, because they offered up strange fire. And he said, no, no, no. When I give you fire, you just keep on feeding the fire with the same oil, keep putting wood on the fire, keep putting sacrifices on the fire. I want this to be the fire that I started. And that's the momentum protection principle. And that's what happens when you have systems in place. Systems don't take a break after a win.
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
They want to
They
keep on
keep
going,
going.
because the worst thing you can do after a breakthrough is go back to normal. You know,
And that's what Saint George, she said, oh, you're so in love with systems. I said, absolutely, because they work. Ain't no need of, trying to reinvent the
absolutely.
wheel. If it's working, even on our Wednesday nights, we're still talking with you. Okay, so what are we doing here? Why are we here? We're using those documents that we've gathered, that we've gotten to even do our Wednesday night. I tell them we're not planning an event if we ain't got 30. It's 60 to 90 days. We need 90 days. We need 90 days. If it's not in our vision, if it doesn't line up with this, we're gonna scrap it. We're not saying that what you have won't work or that this is the only way to get it done, but we have a system now. We have step by steps, we have rules and guidelines that we are following.
Mm,
Whereas before, it's not just a rabbit that we're pulling out of the hat. We
yeah.
actually have things that are set, that are things that are in place. I came back and gave everybody a copy of our kingdom vision for 2026, what we're doing. Our loads of love went off perfect. Our days of giving our baskets to the school went off without a hitch. I mean, everything that we talked about, everything that we planned for. Why? Because we put systems in place. We put things in place to help us to get the work done. We got to have things to help to get the work done. I can remember my son Richard, who's a chef. He'll tell me, you can't use a pot for everything. Well, I thought I could, but no, a pot don't work for everything.
For
You
everything.
can't cook
That's good.
everything in a pot. Some
That's
things you
so
need a
good.
spare. If you want a bundt cake, well, you need a cake pan with the bundt rings on it. You might get a cake, but it's not going to look like what you wanted. You're not going to get the desired results you're hoping and praying for. Why? Because you got to stay with the system. You got
Mm,
to stay. I'm not trying to sell anything or anybody, but if you want your life to come from being under so much weight and being overwhelmed, I beseech you, brethren and sisters, by the mercies of God.
my goodness.
I beseech you, brethren and sisters, by the
Mm,
mercies of God. It is an investment that you will never, ever regret. Take it from someone who was laying on the floor crying and saying, God, this is it. A year ago, my family would tell you I stayed sick for almost 2 years because I was under the weight of ministry and daycare. I, I mean, it was just like I get up and I get right back down. I get up, I get right back down. They was like, well, you got broken heart syndrome. Yeah, probably that too. But a lot of it was from ministry, trying to do ministry alone by myself. But I'm telling you, it is one of the best investments that you could ever make. Find a way.
mm,
Go get the fish, open his mouth, get the money out of there. It's in there. It's somewhere in there.
wow.
If God has given you the vision, he got the provisions. We just got to be willing to go get them. We just got to be willing.
That is
I,
so awesome, man.
I'm just saying.
I appreciate your transparency in this. Can y'all give me some fire emojis in the chat. Y'all give me some fire emojis in the chat for Pastor Paula. Whether you're on YouTube, you're on Facebook, wherever you're watching from, I want you to drop it. But Pastor Paula, I'm gonna tell you something. I knew that 2026 was gonna be a breakthrough year for you in Kingdom Authority Ministries. And I believed it when we first met. I hoped it when we first met because I saw the passion and the potential was there, especially after we started having a conversation about you giving yourself permission to reestablish the vision and to say, "Hey, look, I I am not the same as my husband. I got to carry on his legacy, but I got to carry it in a way that is authentic to me." I knew then that was going to be. That's what I started to believe. But the time that I really knew was at the retreat when we were in Destin in October, and we were sitting around and we were talking through some stuff, and we had a particular session, and it was one of those days. So for those of y'all who are watching who don't know, every year we have a retreat, and it's first come first serve for any pastors who are inside of our programs, and we spend the whole week together in a house together. We eat meals together, we cook together, we do stuff together, but we build our plan for the new year. And we were having one of those impromptu sessions where we were sitting around the table. And I don't even think it was planned. I think we were just talking. And then I looked up and I was like, "Where is Pastor Paula? Like, where's she at?" And you went by the time you came back, I was like, "Hey, what happened?" You was like, "No, I was like, I had to think, it was some stuff you was saying. That thing hit me. I just had to go sit for us. I had to go think." And I could see the wheels turning in your mind. It's almost like when you can look at a person and say, like, okay, they're grabbing this. And then when we put together your KA6, your yearly plan piece, I was sitting there and I was like, this is going to be a breakthrough year for them. And even here we are, not even halfway through the year yet.
Mhm.
And it's clear that God is already doing it and that He's
Yes.
already making it happen. He's already turning that thing around. And when I say I am so grateful and excited for what God is doing through you all and what's coming next, I just can't express it enough. So here's why I want to close, Pastor Paul. I want you to do just one more thing for me. I just want you to take a moment and I want you to encourage a pastor and a leader who is in a challenging season. They're in a season where things aren't going the way that they had hoped. Things aren't happening in the way and in the order that they had hoped that it would happen. Things aren't moving how they had hoped that it would move. I just want you to take from your testimony and share with them some word of encouragement that might help them break through this season that they're in.
Mhm. If I would have never imagined having to do life without my husband, having to do ministry without him. Had you asked me, I would have never imagined him not being here. But since he is not here, I know his thing for me is to go on, honey. Let's keep moving forward. You cannot stop. You gotta. So I want to encourage a pastor. I don't care where you are, what you've got going on. It is not over. It is not over. He who has begun a good work in you, let me tell you, he is here. He is faithful to complete that work. He started this work in me, and I felt like giving up. I was at that point where I'm saying, God, you got 1 year. And God proved it to me in less than 1 year that I am who I am. I am that I am. I want to encourage you, don't give up on who God has called you to be. Your work may be small, your work may be feel insignificant. My prayer is this: God, don't fill the house until you feel who's in the house.
Mm,
Develop the people that you've given me.
my Lord.
Develop the people, the team that you've put around me, that we become a support to each other. We have that camaraderie now. We're meshing, we're gelling, so that now that when other people come in, we're able to meet their needs. I want to encourage you: do not give up. It is not over yet. I don't care how hard it may be. If whatever you have to do, stop eating lunch for a couple of days to get in this program. Turn that plate over. Stay at the nail shop. I'm just giving suggestions because
Mm,
it's worth every penny that you're going to invest. It is going to change your life. I
mm,
want to encourage you not to give up. Whatever avenue you have to take, whichever platform that you can get in, I beseech you, do it.
mm,
You are going to make it. You're going to be okay. You're looking at someone who cried day in and day out. My kids didn't even hardly want to be around me. All you want to do is fuss. But God, stay
mm.
faithful, stay committed. I don't care how many, if you ain't got but two, be faithful to the two. Be committed to the one. If Jesus had 12, if we got six, we got at least half of what he had. Be faithful. I want to
Yeah.
encourage you. It's worth your time. It's worth the effort.
Man, thank you so much for that, Pastor Paula. And man, you have done an absolutely amazing job of sharing your story and of setting up the conversation we're going to have next week. Because next week we're going to have a couple on who has a similar story, and they have such a powerful testimony where it was, again similar. They came in and we met them, and the wife shared with me. She said, "Look, I saw something in my husband. I could tell he was at the edge." And they came into the program, and man, like a week later, they were back in the group talking about, "Hey, somebody joined our church," and we're sharing these stories in this season 6 of Apostolic Insight because we want to encourage pastors. We are
Yes.
in a time where more pastors are walking away; they are quitting the ministry than ever, and some it is not because their anointing is dried up. It's because their strategy has dried up. It's that we are living in a new paradigm, and you can't do ministry in a new paradigm using the same tools that you did in the old paradigm. And so, what we're trying to expose to them is that even desperate situations can become hope-filled situations when we decide to make a turn and turn things differently. All right. And so, I want to say, like Pastor Paula said, if you're out there and you're a pastor who is in need of some help and in need of some support, I just dropped a link in the chat, and I want you to grab that link. You can click on that link. It's also in the description of this video. We've got 3 different programs, and it will fit whatever level that you are on. However much help you want, it fits it. If you want to just walk with us through this next season for Back to Church Sunday for 90 days, you can walk with us there. If you want to walk with us for a year through our Church Scissors in a Box, we'll walk with you and we'll coach you every Thursday night. We'll coach you through helping you build. Like Pastor Paula said, you get to walk with real live people, and not just for your ministry, but we've even added mental health calls where we're checking in on each other once a month. All the men get together once a month, all the women get together, and we just encourage each other. We check on each other. Or if you really want some hands on approach where you want us to build everything for you, and you want me and my wife to come in and be executive pastors to you and your church for 90 days and support you for a year, we've got a program for that. And wherever you are, we want you to know we got support for you. All right. So I just put the link in the chat. Here's what I'm going to say to all of you here who are here tonight. For those of you who decide to plug into one of those programs tonight, I'm going to do something special for you. I'm going to give you one of those calls that I gave with Pastor Paula. One of those calls she mentioned when we got on that call and we talked about everything. We dug into it and we figured out, what the roadblocks were, what the things were. And that was the call that lit the fire. Well, I'm going to give you one of those calls, right? That's a 60-minute call where we get on and we just deep dive for 60 minutes. We're not sitting there talking about the weather and who your folks are. We ain't talking about none of that. We getting into the nitty gritty. Let's deal with who you are, where your vision is, all those different things, and get you off to a great start. And so, for those who joined tonight, I'm gonna give you that one-on-one call, and we're gonna dive into it with you, and we're gonna map that thing out to help you take the next step because we really want to see churches go forward. And for every one of those programs, your budget is not going to be an option. Let me tell you why your budget is not going to be an option because we created something for everybody. We literally created something that fits every single budget, especially for bivocational pastors whose churches may not be strong enough or the team may not be willing to plug in and help you build it. We built something for you that says, hey, look, here's how we can get you started and get you moving along the way. All right. So, Pastor Paula, I'm going to ask you to do one more thing before we close out. I just want to ask you to just give us a closing word of prayer for all of those people who are watching, all of those people who are listening in from all the different platforms. I just want you to pray a prayer over them as they prepare to step into this next season of their ministries.
Hallelujah. Praise you. Father God, we just come tonight, first of all, just to say thank you for your loving kindness and your tender mercies. God, we thank you that as you prepare us, you said that you would make us to become fishers of men. But in order to do that, we must launch out into the deep. Father, I pray that these pastors who are listening, God, that their strength and their courage will cause them to have a nevertheless kind of mindset that causes them to launch out a little bit further than where they've been fishing all the time, God. Father, we thank you tonight, God, for providing the finances. God, we thank you for opening doors. God, we thank you for doing amazing work in everybody's ministry, God. You said we have not because we ask not. And so, Father, we don't ask amiss tonight. We ask in your son's Jesus' name. Father, we just thank you. We pray that for Pastor Henry and his team, God, that you would continue to strengthen and guide and lead them as they lead us, as we follow them, God. Continue to give them your wisdom, your knowledge, your understanding, God. We just thank you for being an almighty God. And Father, we'll be ever careful to give your name praise and honor. In Jesus' mighty name I pray. Amen.
Amen. And look, thank y'all so much for being here. Look, I appreciate you too, Santori. It has been absolutely amazing to just see what God has done through you all as you all have served well and to all of you that are here. And so, Pastor, I want to say to you, be encouraged. Understand you don't have to do this by yourself. If you do this alone, it's because that's the route that you chose. But I want you to know that help is available to you. And it's not just help that is looking out for itself, but it's help that cares about the kingdom. We want to build God's kingdom first and see our churches grow along the way. All right. Listen, thank you so much for being here tonight. And to all of you who have plugged in with us, God bless you. Until next time, keep the gears turning. Peace. We'll see you next week.